Hey, and thanks for clicking on Hey, MelissaCrochets. I appreciate it. I have to pivot this week just because I had something planned, like a video and a project planned for today, this Sunday. But I did the farmer's market twice last week, and I sold a lot. So now I feel like I have to pivot and add more inventory. So basically this is gonna be a market prep video. Wasn't planning on it, but here we are. And I have some of the things done already, and I did make a to-do list, so I'll share that as well. So I'm quickly just gonna run through what sold at the market last week. So we'll start with the Thursday. I went on Thursday and Saturday. Of course, Saturdays are always busier, but Thursday was still good for me. Okay, so I sold my butterfly for $15. I sold a $15 possum, 2 bag charms, they're $5 each, 3 $5 items from my $5 bin. I sold my pink standing dinosaur for $15. I sold 3 palm turtles for $15. I sold my horror bunny from the amigurumi torture challenge for $5. I sold a little mini loaf kitty that was $5. And then I sold a jellyfish for $15. So that was $140 there that I sold. If I do have pictures, if any of these items, I'll put them here for you so you can just kind of reference what I'm talking about. I do have pictures of a few of them. And then on Saturday was nuts. Like the farmer's market that I go to, it always brings a huge crowd. So I'm very thankful for that. And it was a crazy day, and things were selling so fast that sure, I was writing things down on my phone and keeping track as much as I could. I did miss a few items, it turns out, because I came home and I brought my inventory bags in and went through everything, and I was like, okay, yeah, I remember selling that, but I didn't write it down, so it's not here. And then I had to update my inventory spreadsheet, and so here we are. Okay, so Saturday I sold a dragon that I had just made. I'll put a little video up here. I made that on the Friday. I was making a bunch of granny squares last week for charity, and I was like, I need to do some plushies because I'm so sick of granny squares. So that water dragon sold for $40, and that's a free Instagram pattern. So I'll try to remember to link it in the description, but I filmed these clips, and then when I'm editing, I'm like, okay, I'll put in the description, but then I post the description in the video, and it goes out my brain. So if I forget, remind me, and I will put it in there for you. I had a fat cat that finally sold. That's one of the original fat cats I had made. It might have been in the amigurumi torture challenge or soon after. And I sold my scrappy bear. He was from the amigurumi torture challenge. So that was exciting. Somebody came up to me and they needed a baby shower gift. They said, I want something that's unique that won't get anywhere else, and was for a baby, obviously, and not a character. And I said, okay, all right. So I put him over to where I had the plushies hanging on my table. Or the snugglers, I guess. And he was like, oh, this one's weird. And I was like, yeah, it's very unique. And he was like, oh yeah, I'll go with that one. So that was very exciting because I've been taking him to every market. Nobody was interested, but found the right person. So that's nice. I sold a big sea turtle. I used Fred the Sea Turtle pattern by CJ's Designs. And then I had a strawberry sea turtle that sold for $35. I don't remember if I said my scrappy bear sold for $20. My regular sea turtles are $30. Sold 4 palm turtles. I sold a frog for $10, and I had just made them on Friday. So I'll put the video here. A young girl came up to me. She goes, my grandpa loves frogs, and I have to buy this for him. And I said, okay. So that was really nice. I sold a purple rubber ducky, a pink rubber ducky. They were both $10. For $15, I sold a jellyfish, my last one. I was so glad to sell it because every time that I bring jellyfish to markets, the blue, the purple, and the teal, and the mint, they always go first. And the orange one I've had since I made the first batch, and it finally sold because it was my only one I had. I sold out of axolotls. I sold, how many did I sell that day? I sell them for $15. So I sold a pink, a blue, a green, a teal. My orange chubby dinosaur for $15. For $10, I sold one of those little mini chickies. Not the Mabel chicken pattern, but a different pattern, but same thing basically. I sold 5 possums for those possums. And out of my $5 bag, I didn't have them up on my table, but if little kids came up to me, they got $5 out of their parents' wallet or whatever for an allowance at the market, they'd be like, oh, I can't really afford anything and I really don't want a fidget worm, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. So I was like, oh, you know what? Under my table over here, I forgot to put them out. I have some $5 items. Do you want to look through that little bag? And they say yes. So I brought it out for a few little kids. And then on, I think Wednesday last week-ish, I made a flamingo from the pattern pack by, I think it's all from Jade. And it's the Couch Brigade pattern, the weighted ones that you know, and they sit and they're so cute. So I think I have a picture of the flamingo. I'm pretty sure I do. And I put it up here for you. Turned out so cute. I sold her for $30. And then I sold 3 fidget worms. Those are the ones with the hair curlers on the inside. So on Saturday, I made $470 in sales. So close to 500, but this was my best market day yet. So, you know, summer months, people are, you know, traveling and the market is busier for sure. I had already filmed a small portion of what I had made in the last 48 hours. But yesterday was garbage day, and I don't even notice the garbage truck anymore because, you know, you just tune things out eventually. Like if you live next to a train station, eventually you don't hear the trains. For me, that's the garbage truck, and I couldn't edit it out of the video. So I'm gonna film this portion again, but that's okay. I'll make it faster. So I finished 3 snakes. I really like these. I sell them for $15, and this is a free pattern on Instagram by Mom Stitchy. And this is the color Tourmaline, all burnout blanket. This color, I don't remember what it's called, but I love the way that it's striped. It's so cool. I love using the variegated yarns for the snakes, and they're just awesome. And I also use snake eyes on these. I'll show you those in a second. So another $15 snake. And then I believe this color is called Mossy Path, but if I'm wrong, I'll put it up there. But if I'm right, it's Mossy Path. So I'll show you the eyes. I got these from Temu last time, and they're like slit eyes. They're really cool. I like them. So 3 snakes, so that's $45 worth of inventory. And something that I'm able to freehand pretty easily, just because you do whatever rows of increases. So 6, 12, 18, 24, 4 rows. And then, you know, you work the body basically, is mini kitties. So I put these in my $5 bin. I still have to add a little smile on them. I usually do. Like maybe a little triangle nose, depending. This one I put the eyes on a little wonky, but I'll make it smile, like, you know, crooked. So he'll turn out just fine. So 10 of those in total. But then I also tried to do like some dog ears, but it turned out looking like a bunny. So I made it have a little tail. So 10 kitties, 1 bunny. Still have to do the faces, as I said, but that's okay. I'll get those done. My palm turtles are very hard to hold all at once. So here's 1, 2, 3. This is a loops and threads yarn. I'm sure we've all seen it. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I want to do a pink one because I've never done like a colored turtle. I always do greens, so I'm curious to see if this one sells. So I've seen other people make them and they sell, so I wanted to give it a try. So that's 8 turtles. I sell those for $15. As I mentioned, I sold out of axolotls, so I'm trying to make a whole bunch more. I think on my list I have 10. Like I made a to-do list, so I'm gonna do 10 axolotls. So this morning I've been batch making the heads. So here's the head, and then you have 1 row of the increases onto the body. I think I have how many done now? 1, 2, 3, 4. This is number 5, and I'm gonna do 10 of them. I like to do 5 variegated, 5 solid when I batch make them, just because I don't know, I like it, and it's fun to see which ones sell first. There really isn't, you know, kids who say like, oh, I love the solid color ones. They usually just say, ooh, I want one of the blue ones, something like that. So working on those, and then I have more things on my to-do list I want to get done this week. So next we're going to go over my to-do list together. From this angle you can really see my crazy hair today. It wants to do its own thing. I have tried this morning and it's just nice. No, it's not gonna happen, so whatever. So I really want to do some more possums, obviously, because they sell so well for me. And then I really want to do some big possums, as I call them, my BAPs, my big ass possums. So I gotta do those. So I want to do 7 mini possums, and if I have time, which I probably won't, I want to do 2 or 3 of the BAPs. So hopefully I can get that done. Palm turtles I've done, snakes I've done. $5 bin items were the mini kitties, and I find the kids gravitate towards those like crazy. So I did make, what did I say, 8 of those or 10, whatever, 10 or 8 of those. I'll count them and then we'll update the sheet. In my $5 bin, I currently have a few items, but kids really like the mini kitties, so I wanted to do those. So I have 13 gummy bears in there right now. They're pretty popular. People do like those. I have one bee, one dinosaur. I have 5 whales, but I've never actually sold a whale from the $5 bin. I think I might order some more of those keychain thingies and just put them on some bag charms. I've started the axolotls. I'm gonna do 10 of those. I really want to make some more jellyfish because if you watch my channel, you know that those are my biggest and like I would say best sellers. Like people notice them, and like every market that I've done, I've sold at least one. And I hang them on my front of my booth, so like the wind kind of blows the tentacles and people see them from a distance and they come over and they're like, oh, they're so cool. And I've noticed that blue, teal, purple, and like a light pink really sell. Like pastel colors really sell. I had a really hard time selling that orange one, but it finally sold, so I'm not going to do an orange one again. But you get the idea. Pastel jellyfish really sell. I want to make 5 more chubby dinosaurs. I had a hard time selling them, but this past weekend at the market, people were like, do you have any dinosaurs? And then people would pick up one dinosaur that I had left and be like, oh, I might come back for it. You know, they're really interested in it. And then eventually it did sell, so I have none right now. So I'll make 5 of those. And then I do want to make some more $10 tiny pocket chickens, as I've been calling them. So you would have seen in the previous clip that the tiny chickens that I make, they come about this big. I won't have any to show you. And I do 24 stitches for those. That is on my list. So I have quite a few things to get done. As a reality check to myself, I'm going to put the number of things that I want to get done up here. And then, you know, I poop myself a little bit, but honestly, if I don't get things done, I don't get things done. Something I'm working on this year, as I've said before, is I'm trying to give myself grace. And, you know, I only have 2 hands and I have to take breaks and stuff, obviously. So that's on my list. And I am working through the list really fast. I have made everything that I just showed you, like physically, in the last, I'd say 48 hours-ish. Guess it's now Tuesday morning. Today is actually Larry, the dog's birthday. He's turning 2 today. So in a bit, I'm going to get him out of bed and we're going to go into town, get all his favorite things. And he's also going to get a bath, which is not his favorite thing, but too bad. He's stinky right now. Somebody has set a flower stand up. There's a lot of flower stands around here. And it was all peonies. And oh my god, I wish I had taken them. Like, I never even thought to take a picture or a video. But they're all peonies, all different colors. So I chose this nice bouquet of the nice pink ones and the white ones. I'm sorry if you don't care about flowers, but I think it's kind of fun to show off some, you know, life things as well. And oh, I just love them so much. They're so beautiful. And there are some that are still, you know, going to bloom. Here's a bud here. And there's one down in the middle, but I don't want to like ruin the petals. So I would love to hear what your favorite flower is. Drop below. My favorite top 3 are peonies, obviously. I love hyacinths, but they're hard to have in the house. They're so fragrant. And exact same thing with lilacs. I love my lilacs, mainly because they remind me of my other grandmother, Mariel, the one that I was super close with. She's actually on my wall right behind me. And she always had lilac bushes at the farm. So when we bought our house, there is a really, really ugly, like the carport that you've seen me set up in before. On the other side, there's like faux windows, but they're, I don't even know what they are. They're like a plastic ridged sheet and just, you know, 1960s style. I mean, like, and I love retro style, but they're discolored, ugly. We want to replace them eventually. So that's where I planted the lilac bushes to hide that wall. So I think I have 3 or 4 lilac bushes there. And 2 years ago, they got past the roof line. And so like Steve had to like prune them and cut them down quite a bit, but you know, they're still beautiful and glorious and I love them so much. So those are my top 3 favorite flowers and the reasoning behind them. I went to the thrift store while I was in that town. There's 2 thrift stores there. I got yarn at both, so yay. And then also I wanted to go to Michael's and replace one of my crochet hooks because there's like a big crack or a scratch or whatever in it and kept tearing my yarn. I was like, why does this keep happening? So I looked at the crochet hook and I was like, oh wow. But that's the crochet hook I originally started with, like I think 3-4 years ago now. So not surprised. And it's okay because they're only like $9. I use Prim ergonomic hooks exclusively. I would like to try a furls, but who can afford it? And I don't want to not like it, you know, and spend that money. Maybe I'll find a used one someday, but that's okay. So at the first thrift store, all the yarn was $1.79. And I asked the cashier, I was like, is that on purpose? And she said, yeah, we got like a huge donation in and we just tagged them at $1.79 each. I'm like, oh, you should have called me. So I got this cool yarn, and I believe they were selling this at Dollarama here in Canada for a while. It's 80% polyester and 20% acrylic. And it's like a cute blanket yarn. I've already caked up one of them. I got 2 in total. So it is quite nice, and I'm excited to make an animal with it. I don't know, but I'll probably put this towards my charity work that I'm working on right now. And then I got this, and it looked like it came directly from my previous workplace because I can, I recognize this part, and there's a note on it that says discolors on hands. So I'm assuming when I'm working with this, the dye might run on my hands, but that's okay, it's fine. I do know that this one is the Bernat Blanket Pooling, and this is the Forest Plaid. And I know that because I know yarn. I know chicks. Just kidding. I know yarn. If you don't know what the reference to I know chicks is, I really don't know what the beginning reference is, but hot boys on the social media say it like, we know chicks. I know chicks because they know lots of girls. So FYI, there's some pop culture trivia for you. And then at the Value Village, I got this bag of yarn. There was another one in it, but I pulled it out and I left it for somebody else because I didn't want it. It was Wool Ease line brand. I can't have wool anyway. So this is definitely Softy Chunky in the color vintage white or just vintage. I can't remember, to be honest with you. And then a blanket yarn that has like those speckles in it. So I thought that'd be fun for like a cow or something. I don't know yet, but I thought it was cute. So I grabbed that because I use Softy Chunky all the time, as we know. And that was $8. I went to the Michaels. And then when I was in Niagara, remember my Niagara market, I thrifted the whole way down and then, visited some Michaels stores and stuff. And I bought the Twisted Tones by Loops and Threads. It was on clearance for $5, and I had been waiting for it to come on clearance because I wanted to make a Flower Power cardigan out of those colors. So you can see on my table right there, I have these. So that is the beginning of the Flower Power granny square. So the middle and then the colorful part will be the flower petals. Out of one skein, I was able to get 14 of these. 14, and I need to have 15 or 20 depending on the length that I want to make the cardigans. So it's like, oh, come on. So I wasn't just gonna finish them up, make them into a blanket, because blankets just don't sell in my area. While I was in that Michaels, they had another one of the blue, so I was like, oh, thank goodness. So that's exciting because you can see over my shoulder right here, I had like the cotton candy colored ones, and I got 2 skeins of those, but I had only got 1 skein of this. I was in St. Catharines, Niagara area. So I'm happy to get this. I was in the store because there's 2 colors that are very, very similar. There's this one and another blue one, which is like right over my shoulder right here. That's a bit more dark, but because of my color blindness, I was like, oh, poop, I have no idea which one I need. So I was like, shoot. So luckily on my cell phone here, I had a picture of my yarn wall because I've been taking one every week for like an end of the year slideshow thing. And it was this color that I seen. So I was like, oh yes, it is the right one. So thank God for my Google Drive being accessible on my phone. So, and then that being considered, I could only get 14 of those petals out of a skein of yarn. I knew I had only bought 1, and you can see it right there of this color. So I was like, while I'm here and they have this, there was only 1 left. I was like, I'm gonna buy it. And then something else that I got when I was there, and I was so excited, I ran right at it because over the weekend when I did, I guess Thursday, Friday last week, I did the farmer's market. So 2 days, I ran out of paper bags to give to people because people were asking for bags, and not everybody did, but I ran out of bags. I had like 2 left in my bag right now, my market bag. And then somebody had donated probably close to 50 of them. They had them all lumped together for $4. I was like, oh yes, because I was gonna go to the dollar store and buy some like new ones, which I don't like doing. I'd rather thrift them and repurpose and stuff, which I always do. But it was just so exciting to see that, and they were all like the craft brown paper bags, so they're not branded or anything, and they're plain, so that's great. I also do use a lot of birthday bags because I'll buy those at the thrift store. I mean, like, maybe not so much birthday bags, but celebration bags. You know what I'm trying to say. I buy the ones that don't say like happy birthday. I buy the ones that have like puppies or kittens on them. Some of them have Christmas hats on them, but you know what? People appreciate when I do reuse. And I'll tell people, like, you see there's a little 50-cent gift like tag on it from the thrift store, and I said I like to support my local thrift store because like it's mainly like charity that they support. So if they have bags there, I'm gonna buy them there. I'm not gonna buy brand new ones because it's a waste. And people, they appreciate that once I tell them that, because sometimes I can get really pretty like sparkle bags. And then over the weekend it happened this way. Somebody had bought, it was the water dragon I had made. So like the big dragon I had made. It was like a teal pink mint color, and then I had a celebration bag that matched it perfectly. And they were like, oh my goodness, that's magic. How did you do that? And I said, well, and I told them the story. And they were like, oh, that's so cool. But like, who knew you would have something matching? I'm like, I didn't know. Like, I didn't plan it. I bought those bags, you know, weeks ago. And then I made the dragon recently. So that was pretty fun. And I do enjoy, you know, just that small connection with people and, you know, just to look into the process of everything that I do. Axolotls are now finished. I finished them up last night. Actually, you know what? No, I finished 5 last night and I finished 5 this morning. The Panthers won the Stanley Cup last night, which is hockey, by the way, if you don't know. So we were up late watching that. And yeah, so it was a good time to watch. So here is the first guy. So cute. I did do a few that were reverse. So I'll show you what I mean. Basically, I just reversed the yarns on it. This guy was at the bottom of the basket, so it's so cute. I love this pattern. This is by Natalie's Crochet Creations, and it's the axolotl pattern that I love the most, that I've had the most success with. I've tried quite a few of them on Instagram, like free patterns, but this is by far my favorite, and it works up really fast. I do batch crochet, as I mentioned. So what I end up doing is batch crocheting all the heads, and then I put the safety eye in, and then I batch crochet the body all the way up to the legs plus 1 row, and then stop, stuff the head, well, stuff the head, stuff the body, and then do the rest of them, obviously, so I did 10 of them. And then I finish off the tail part, and then, like, I stop, you know, after doing all the tails, and then I add the fins and the gills. So that's how I do those. So I got 10 of those finished. So here's the first 2. Here's number 3, and number 4. 5 and 6 are also reversed. I think they're so cute. As I mentioned, I like to do 5 variegated and 5 solid. Some more solid ones. I wanted to do one that was pretty Canadian, so red and white. And then this cutie pie, that's one of the newer Bernat baby blankets, but I can't remember what it's called. And then this one is Unicorn Brights. If I had to pick a favorite one, I had to say this one, Unicorn Brights, because it's so cute, and then this one, this color is Melon. And then the speckle, gill, and fins is like an off shade I've had forever. So I'm still trying to use that one up. I think I have like half a skein left of it right now. So we're getting down to, you know, finally using it up, but got a lot of plushies out of it. That, you know, 2 skeins of yarn that I had originally, they were both Okos, so 300 grams, so 600 grams in total. So made quite a few out of that yarn. So I look forward to it being gone someday. You know, I'm sure all of you out there have a yarn in your stash that you're like, oh my god, is it ever gonna end? So I have these all labeled, all the axolotls. They're $15, so that adds $150 to my market prep inventory this week. So I'd add those to my spreadsheet and move on to the next animal, which I've already done. I have started some chickens, a little $10 mini chickens. So I don't use the Mabel chicken pattern by Oak and Marlowe. I mean, that's a nice pattern, but I like it to have a little bit of a head, so I kind of freehand these. Here is the thumbnail of the pattern I kind of base them off of. I made this a few times, and then so when I make these, I usually do like a small, so like a pocket size, a medium size, and then like a larger size, so $20, $15, and $10 chickens. So I made the $10 size because that's what I was planning. So of course I still have to, you know, sew the head, well, stuff it, sew the head shut, and then add the comb up top. But I do have the safety eyes in there. And this little speckle yarn I got at the thrift store I just told you about, it's quite nice for chickens. It's so cute. Right now it honestly just looks like a bird, because it doesn't have the comb. But holding it here it looks like a bird. So working on those this evening, and hopefully I'll get those finished. I'm sure I will, because I'm only doing, I think, 6 of those, or 5 or 6. I guess we'll find out tomorrow, because I don't remember right now. It is now Thursday, and I have the chickens finished up. Got everything finished last night except for the beaks. I honestly forgot about them, so I had to do those this morning. So here's 1 and 2. Here's that yarn I recently thrifted. It looked really nice with the chicken. So here's 3 and 4, 5. And number 6, I put a little price tag on so you can just see how small the chickens are. The price tags are 2.5 inches. And then I was also able to finish up my jellyfish this morning. I started some last night. I batch crocheted them, of course. I did all the tentacles and stuff, and then the bodies, and then the undersides that you attach the tentacles to, and then I finished them up today. So here's the first 2. These 2 are like reversed, like I was talking about with the other projects I did. 4. I like this purple with the pretty girl. This one's really nice. It's so funny that the top of them look like ice cream cones. And then the last one, number 6, I used spring green Bernat baby blanket. I didn't really have anything that matched nicely. So I had recently thrifted this yarn, and it's kind of one of the loops and threads, skinny chenille. No, it's not skinny chenille because that's a really tiny one. I don't know, chenille home slim. I don't know what it's called, but it was a nice color, and I think that turned out really nice together. The color on this camera screen, whatever, it's not showing up very well. I promise it does look nice. It's such a rainy, overcast day today that nothing's showing up on camera nicely. So that's that. I would start on possums this afternoon, but because I like to batch crochet everything, if I make one possum, I'm gonna have to make like 10 because that's just the way my brain works. So I'm not gonna start anything small plushie related today. I do want to finish up a cardigan that I've had on the go forever. I had to get some more yarn for the sleeves, so I plan on doing the sleeves today. I really want to get that done. And if I do any other amigurumi, I really want to make like a big plushie. Like that's just in my system today. I got some patterns on Etsy recently, and I was looking through like my folders, and I was like, oh, that'd be fun to make. So I might do that at some point today. It just depends on, you know, how fast I get done that cardigan and, you know, the rest of the housework and stuff I have to do. So that is my plan for Thursday. The little market I have is tomorrow. Weather depending. At this point, there's a lot of thunder showers like in our area. It is a rain or shine event. It is outdoors, like in the street and stuff, but I really still do want to go. And I will still go if it's thundering and rainy. But if it's really muggy and humid, I can't go because of my asthma. If it's humid outside, I feel like I'm drowning and my lungs are filling up, and no amount of puffer will help with that, unfortunately. So it's going to depend on the mugginess tomorrow. As my grandmother used to say, it sure is muggy wuggy outside. It is now Saturday, June 21st, and my market was last night. This video will be going up tomorrow, so hi from almost real time. So the market went really well. I went in with kind of lower expectations just because, you know, it's not like a huge advertised event. And, you know, it was not as good as the farmer's market, and like nothing ever will be in my opinion. But you know, it was still a lot of fun, and that's the main reason I went. The booth fee was only $50, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go. And yeah, it went well. It was really well organized. I really liked the way they had it set up. So there were 3 different areas of vendors. I was on the main street, which I didn't really like, only because of the parking situation. So we had to, you know, kind of lug all of our stuff like a block through like an alleyway type thing. And it was a lot for me, only because I was at the very end of the street and the alleyway was on the other end of the block. So what can you do? But that's okay. I was jealous for the people in the other areas because they had parking really close by, and that would have been really nice. But luckily, as I was taking my big you know, folding table and my lawn chair, which is quite heavy, there was a guy walking past, and he's like, I'll help you with that. And I was like, oh no, that's okay, because I had like my dolly cart thing. And he's like, no, I don't mind. And I was like, oh, okay, well, thank you. I was like, are you a vendor tonight? And he was like, oh no, I just live down the street. And I was like, oh, that's so nice of you. Can I give you like $5 or an animal or something? He's like, no, that's my good deed for the day. So that was really sweet of him. So I appreciate that guy. Shout out to the mustache guy. He was nice. Okay, so it was from 6 till 10 p.m. and I arrived probably around like 5:10. I wanted to get there around like 4:30, but traffic, especially like during rush hour in the city. The market was from 6 till 10 p.m. and I arrived there around 5:10 p.m. I had aimed to get there for around 4:30 just because people would be walking by and whatever, but traffic and then loading in and then all that fun stuff. So I was definitely set up by 6, but it took a while because of, you know, I had to take like 3 or 4 trips on my own with all my stuff. The way they had the vendor set up was really cool. So there was 11 of us on the main street, and then behind the buildings where we were, so it was like on a downtown core, behind there was like a really big event pad, as they call it. So basically like a big concrete pad where they host events and stuff, next to like a coffee roaster. I guess they do this all the time, and that's where their BIA is as well. So there were 6 vendors there, and then on the street in front of us, so there was one street, main street, the other street, the event pad, and then on the other street there was like in a parking lot type thing, and there were 6 vendors over there, so 11 plus 12 vendors. So it was a good time. I really enjoyed it. I really like night markets, as I've talked about in this video. I just find the ambiance so fun, and you know, the twinkle lights, and just, it was a good time. And right now in June, like it stays light pretty late at night, so I don't think it really got dark until we were like packing up around 10. So that worked out nicely, and everybody there was so friendly and kind. And I got a lot of compliments on the colors in my booth. They were like, oh, we've seen crochet animals or plushies or whatever before, but we've never seen any that are so colorful. Like, she goes, I think a lot of people are attracted to your booth because of all the color. And I was like, thanks. I love color. So let's talk about what's sold. I'm not doing this in order, it's just what I have in my spreadsheet because I copy and paste from my inventory over to the sold tab. So I sold 2 possums. They were my first sale, of course. They're Rilla's possums. I sold 3 palm turtles, so like the $15 palm turtles. Possums are also 15. I sold 1 axolotl. I sold 2 $5 fidget worms. Those are the ones with the hair curlers on the inside. I have like a big, not a pickle jar, not a glass jar, but like a plastic one. It had those cheese balls in it, and I washed it 1,000 times, and that's what works for my fidget worms. And then I sold 4 of my $5 bucket items. I sold a gummy bear, a little yellow chickie that I've had forever, a whale charm, so a bag charm with a little whale on it, and the white bunny I just made. And also another palm turtle. Yeah, so 3 palm turtles in total for 15. So my sales total was $105. And I'm completely fine with that. As I said, I went in with like lower expectations, but I just love the ambiance at night markets, and it was only $50 to go. And it was a night out, you know, it was a Friday night, and, you know, might as well. So it was a good time. I really enjoyed it. The girl next to me was really friendly. We kind of like, you know, share bathroom breaks type thing. I never got her first name. I don't think she ever got mine either. But she sold like tallow skincare. And yeah, it was great. 2 booths down from me, there was a nice clothing shop, and they were carrying their items back and forth around the corner. So I went over and I asked them, I was like, do you have a store close by? Because like, you're just carrying things on a hanger. That's pretty impressive. They were like, yeah, it's just around the corner. I said, oh, okay. I said, so is it open tonight? And you have a booth here too? And he was like, no, we usually just come over for this event, and you know, because the store's closed at this time. I was like, okay, cool. So I went over later in the evening and I talked to them about my bucket hats that I had made for the Niagara market, and I had said, I have a whole bunch of these that I had made for an event. They're all finished, obviously, so I was wondering if you'd be interested in wholesaling them from me, because I probably have, I don't know how many left now at this point. I did give away one for free last night. Somebody was like talking about learning how to crochet and stuff, and I was like, well, if you'd like to take a bucket hat and look at the stitches and stuff, you're welcome to have one. She goes, oh, no, I couldn't take one. I said, please take one. I have lots. So she took one of the saffron yellow ones, so I was happy with that. That's fine. And so hopefully the clothing store reaches out to me. The guy said his partner is the one who does the clothing stuff, so he'd be the one to reach out if they do. So we'll see. That'll be nice if they do. Where I was stationed was right outside a restaurant, and I didn't want to leave my station for too long because we were like out in public, like on the street. And so behind me, like, there's people sitting on a patio, and I could hear them, you know, like, oh, I love this food, it's so good, I got it. I can't believe I've never been here and stuff. So the waitress was out cleaning off the tables, and I said, hey, do you have a menu? I don't want to leave my station, right? And she goes, oh yeah, absolutely, I'll grab you one. So she grabbed me one, and I had the teriyaki udon noodles with shrimp. I'll post a picture here. And then the owner guy was the one that came out and served it to me, and he was like, oh, we've been here for 19 years. Like, congrats on 19 years. I said, always at this location? He said, yeah, my whole time. He goes, we're a family-run business. And I was like, oh, that's sweet. So it was cute, because I guess it was his daughter in the kitchen, and he was, you know, ownership managing. I'm sure he cooked for a long time too. And then his other daughter was a waitress, and then a granddaughter. I went to pay for my food, and he goes, I'll send out my granddaughter. And I said, okay, I'll give her the money. He goes, no, for crochet. And I was like, oh, well, I can pay, right? And like, she's welcome to come grab something if she wants it on top of like my payment. I said, I'm fine with that. Like, I have a little $5 bucket. He goes, no. I said, okay, all right. So she's the one who got the axolotl and the $5 white bunny. So she took the blue speckle axolotl, and she was so sweet. So basically I traded for my meal. The food was very delicious. I would absolutely go back. It's about an hour plus drive for me, but it is really good. I'll put the name of their restaurant with this screenshot. And it was just so delicious. I loved it so much. I never ended up getting a video of my booth last night and take any videos. I just kind of wanted to live in the moment and just enjoy the night and stuff. And, you know, I took some granny squares to work on for charity. So I was working on that, and people were like, oh my God, you're so fast. But in my brain, I always feel like I'm going really slow, but that's just me. So I worked on those. I did get a picture of my booth. I'll insert that here for you. And then I had my booth neighbor take a picture of me in my booth. So I'll put that picture here. But I really enjoyed it. It was a good night out, and of course I have lots of, I wouldn't say I have lots of inventory right now, but you know, inventory for the farmer's market. I don't know when I can go again to the farmer's market because I don't like going Tuesdays and Thursdays at this time of year, just because like an older demographic, they don't want crochet animals. I could take my beachwear collection on a Tuesday or Thursday, but we have a heat warning here in Ontario right now. It's supposed to get close to 40 degrees Celsius next week, so I won't be going next week. And then next Saturday, when I like to go on Saturdays, Steve's cousin is getting married. So I'm not going to go that day because we're going to be out late. I'm just not putting myself through that. So I go to the farmer's market on Saturdays. I have to be up at 4:30 in the morning. So not going to happen. So I don't know when I'm going to get there next, but it'll be nice to work on a few other things over the next week or two. Next week's video will be a project that I've been working on secretly. You may have heard me talk about it in, I don't know, a different video. But I look forward to showing that to you guys, and it's something I haven't made before, but something I'm excited to show you. So I will see you next week. Please remember that you are strong, you are beautiful, you are loved, and the world appreciates having you here.